everyone. This is Pragati Sureka here, and I have with me a team of expert panelists. All of them are cohorts at the IIM Calcutta Leadership Program, the one-year program. So today we are going to talk about how is it that we manage stress in our regular work life and day-to-day living. So I start off with you, Papia. Give me a few words about yourself and how is it that you manage stress on a daily basis?
Hi, Pragati. First of all, thank you so much for inviting in this program. I'm really enjoying, and throughout the week, I was totally excited. So, stress keeps on coming. So I apply one of the technique, that is whatever is bothering me, either I write it down or I just sort it out in myself, that what is of importance and what is not. So if that is not so important but still bothering, so then I just try to ignore or forget it. It takes time, it's not so easy, but then I try to focus on the things which really matters to me, and this helps me a lot. And second thing is I give importance and time to myself, because I believe that I must love myself and I feel very good about myself, and always I believe that I need to feel happy from within. So this somehow I have made it a habit to feel happy. So for no reason, sometimes I feel happy. So that helps me a lot to reduce my stress.
Great. And that is so wonderfully put, a decision to be happy. Most of us, we decide on a lot of things, but we forget to decide to be happy. So I love your mantra for stress management. And that brings me to you, Priyanka. Priyanka is an IT professional based in Delhi. So please tell me a few words about yourself and what is it that you do to manage your stress personally as well as professionally?
Hi, good evening, everyone. Pragati, thanks for having me on this, giving me this platform. Truly humbled. For me, I think stress for me, whenever I look back, I think stress happens because of uncertainty in life. I mean, whenever you are not sure what the future is going to hold in, you get stressed. Sometimes my son, 10-year-old, would come and say, Mom, I'm stressed. And I would say, what are you stressed of? And he would say, I don't know if this will come in the exam or not, whether will be able to do well or not. So, something happening or not. When we grow in later in future, we are in college, we are stressed whether we'll find a good job or not. After you are in a job, you feel whether you'll be promoted, you'll be able to perform well or not. Once you are married, there are different things, the relationship gets goods or not. So everything is like, there's uncertainty. So my mantra is simple that, hope for the best, but mentally be prepared for the worst. So what I do is I just think of the worst that could happen to me and I do my homework. Everything that I can do to solve it, and rest, something that's not in my hands, I will leave it to the God, to Almighty, that everything happens. And if you look back, you'll realize it's only 95% of the times that the worst actually happens. Most of the times we never actually have to go through that worst situation. We are just assuming it that it's in our heads. So simple mantra is for me is hope for the best and be prepared for the worst.
I like that, hope for the best and be prepared for the worst. And that brings me to you, Ankurita. Ankurita is also based in Delhi. Tell me, what resources help you build your emotional ability?
Hi, Pragati. Thank you. Thank you for inviting and hello to everyone. Pleasure to be here with all of you and talking about emotional stability, what resources that help me, more than the external resources, what the framework that I create for myself, that's what helps me. And the framework that I create for myself is whatever I pick up from the external factors, be it from a podcast or an article or probably some psychometric test on online that you want to know, something in Facebook also, all these games and all. It's just for fun, but those are external resources. But how I cope up with stress is creating that framework where I am aware about my trigger points, what happens when I am stressed and how my body reacts, how my mind reacts to it. And I create a kind of a framework for myself where I think about what triggers me, and I think about how temporary it is, and I think about that end of the day, will it matter to me? And I do things very impulsively, whatever I want to do, and I don't have a panic button as such. Only probably COVID, when I had COVID, it created a mental ruckus in my head. Otherwise, I don't have a panic button. It's like, jab hoga, let's see, it's sab maya moh hai. That's the kind of thing I believe in. That's how I create that stability. Not that I'm a very stable person emotionally. My this amygdala is constantly hijacked, and I'm perpetually in this Monjulika mood. Like only when I'm deep asleep, probably I'm not stressed. Stress is like an extra limb for me. But I'm aware of my weak points. I'm aware of the points that trigger me. I'm aware of how to handle, and I redirect my mind. I keep on engaging myself in different things. And above all, that dialogue Kareena Kapoor says, "मैं अपनी favorite हूँ." So I love myself, and I keep myself happy by loving myself, so that I can take care of the rest of the things. And as you said, humor is like a shock absorber of your life. So I love everything that keeps me happy.
Fabulous, Ankurita. And I like that. मैं अपनी favorite हूँ. And that is just so good. And to be aware of our own triggers, that is something where most of us fall short of. We are ready to blame the world, we are ready to blame the economy, we are ready to blame the people we live with, but very rarely do we look at our own conduct. And frankly, as a psychologist, that's music to my ears, that somebody who's willing to look at herself to solve all the issues of the world. That brings me to you, Sindhu. Sindhu is based in Bangalore. And Sindhu, would you tell me a few words about yourself, and as well as any funny moments that have occurred at work that have helped you beat stress?
Okay, thanks, Pragati, for having me on this call, and it's so good to see the rest of you as well. I mean, now and then, but like this as panelists is really wonderful. Just let me know if my head is flaking, you see a frozen screen, and I probably, try to see what I can do about it. I'm working as a senior technical program manager at Walmart, right? And I'm also a nationalist in swimming. I have an 8-year-old boy, so my hands are full with as a mother. So stress for me is basically I have been.
Okay, so Sindhu has dropped off. So we have our own bit of humor in the show, and that's absolutely all right. While Sindhu comes back, Cynthia, I have a question for you. How is it that you look after yourself to manage your stress? And tell us a little bit about yourself too.
I'm Cynthia Nazneen, and I am basically from Kolkata city. Since after my marriage, I stay in Pune with my family, with my husband and daughter, and she is 5 years old. So whenever I feel stressed, because I manage family and office also, I feel that stress and anxiety is a very common issues and the prime issues nowadays for everyone. And self-awareness is the first key to improve on. So if we are aware about the self, that how we respond to the situations, and as I think Papia or Priyanka, anyone's already mentioned, that uncertainty or the sphere which where I want to achieve myself or want to see myself, but not seeing there. So those not meeting criteria also often causes stress. And also if someone, I have seen that often among my friends that they are much goal oriented. So while they are managing, especially for female colleagues or female friends, while they are managing a couple of things, that families and work together, they are very much in need of work-life balance. And when they are not meeting their ambitions or goals, they are getting stressed within. So the support from the surrounding is important for sure, but being self-supportive is very important. And when we talk about self-supportive, first, if I look at myself in the mirror, and then I can feel like that what I love to do to overcome any stressful situations. Suppose for me, my liking is writing, my liking is being engaged myself in any creative work, playing with my daughter, doing some craft and drawing activity with her. So these area of likeliness, or some people even like travel, some people like morning work exercise. So what is the area of likeness to break the barrier, break the stress, and create the inner joy within? So once
I
we
like that,
identify
Cynthia.
this,
I like that. You know,
yeah,
finding what brings out your own inner joy. Thank you so much
exactly,
for
yeah.
sharing that. And that brings me to you, Sarita. How is it? Sarita is based in Hyderabad. And Sarita, do tell us a little bit about yourself and how do you take care of your emotional well-being? Please unmute yourself. Yes.
Yeah, hi Pragati. I'm very pleased to be here, and thank you for taking me, bringing it to this platform. I take care of my. I'm a single parent as well, but there's a lot of stress and based out of office and home also. So, but I carry out with toughness, but I take it very easily, and I prioritize the things. Then I give my time. Like I go for exercise, walking, and then do some kind of yoga, and then I will talk with the kids and everything. So talking with the children and my parents as well, it stresses out. I also talk more with the friends. Sometimes whenever I get time to relieve from stress and all. So that's how I manage my emotional well-being: exercise, prioritize, and talking with my own people.
Perfect. That sounds wonderful. And it's good to have you back, Sindhu. So tell me, how is it that you manage your stress and some funny incident? You gave us a light funny incident, which we all have enjoyed right now. So do tell me something that adds that element of humor to your daily life.
Right. So, sorry, I got cut off because of my internet issues. Pragati, I think for a long time now, I've been struggling with OCDs and OCPD. So, you know what OCPD is? So, it's basically the personality disorder. So, as far as I can remember, even from my childhood days, there was always every day that I used to have a to-do list or a checklist that was very mandatory for me. There's never a day when I do not have a to-do list. And basically, I'm like a walking timetable. Now, what was stressing me out is that whenever things would not checked or ticked in my checklist, that would really stress me out. And I slowly began to, understand that it's very important to let go of a few things not being checked in my checklist. So it's okay to live with a few of the things which are crossed. So that is something that I started cultivating over the time. And, there's always good to plan contingencies, which is a very key thing for me, especially when I'm planning things at my work. So I ensure that my plan is not going to work for a few things. So I ensure I have enough contingencies to plan around what goes wrong and what is the next best solution that I can look at if things go wrong.
Perfect. So you basically are a plan B person, and that helps you beat stress. So Priyanka, coming back to you, what is it that you do to look after your emotional well-being?
A very good example is and probably do in the evening. So there's always a plan B for me to make up for that. And the funny incident that I can think of is I think when I was a young mother, my son was probably just few days old, probably just a month old. And when I started thinking that I could have a plan around, having a timetable for my son. And, I kept thinking, okay, let me train him into having a potty time at this time, or let me training him to, sleep for this time, which never works, by the way. So I think thinking about how I was so, stressing over the fact that him was, it's really funny to think about it now.
No, you're so right, in retrospect.
And if you also see my to-do list, there's also a, time that I allocate for thinking about something bad that happened. Probably I'm, pondering over what someone said or what someone did or whatever, if there was a hurtful mail that I got or something like that. I allocated time to think about it. So it's quite hysterical if you look at that.
No, I think it's good to have a worry window, you know. In fact, most of us, we think that you can worry throughout the day. So I personally like this strategy. It's a very scientific strategy. And a lot of psychologists talk about it. Ki set a worry window in a day. Ki anything stressful that's going on, just, you know, literally have a date with yourself and talk it out to yourself that, okay, I'm bothered about this person. This is what is happening. So thank you so much for sharing your thoughts, Sindhu. That brings me to you, Priyanka. What do you do for your emotional well-being?
I'm not very religious person. However, I'm very spiritual, and I do meditate at times. And whenever I'm in deep trouble or I'm too much of stressed and there is anxiety building in, I just prefer to read Gita. And I don't know, somehow when I read it, even if I just read 2 pages, it somehow gives me this assurance that whatever is happening for the good, and you'll be able to handle it. So, of course, exercising, yoga and all is one day, but, that's keeping your physical body fit. But mentally, when you are stressed and something like, Gita tells you, it says that you have all the answers in that book. So I have actually experienced that whenever I was in a problem and I just picked it up, it gave me answers what I needed at that time. It gave me a strange kind of assurance. And then, like Papia mentioned, even I try to pen it down. Of course, I have a network of friends. I can count them on fingers. So not too many of them, but if I am in a problem and I would call them 2 at night, the moment I would say hello, their next question would be, "What's wrong, Priyanka?" So sometimes venting it out also helps. They maybe I am looking at the problem and I am just focusing on the problem, and then they would help me look at the other side of the story. So, like they say that when there is something wrong, you're just focusing on the problem. So instead of focusing on the problem, I then try to look at solutions. So that works pretty well for me. So far, I would just say I have a good support system. And I would say all working women, especially because we are trying to juggle things, we need to have that support system, that be it in your friends, spouse, or parents, that's up to you, but you need to have that.
Absolutely. Very well said. We need our own tribe if we have to thrive at work and as well as grow professionally and personally. So coming to you, Papia, what resources help you build emotional ability? I would love to know.
Yeah, thank you, Pragati. I am strong believer in myself. And in a day, at least 5-6 times, I say that when there is a will, there is a way. Though I don't know how many times it has happened to me, but still I believe that. And apart from that, as Ankurita said, and somebody else also said, I spend a lot of time with myself, and I like to feel good about myself. I remain occupied with many things. When I have a little bit of time, then I engage my team, in my office for some creative work, some technical research, something. And even after that, apart from this COVID time, I like to do party. Like even if it is my daughter's friends, moms and all, or parents, some organize picnic, something, some activity, some dinner, something, so that I remain all the time occupied. And last but not least, my daughter is a great source of inspiration for me. Though she is 11, but I feel the learning is mutual. The amount she learns from me, I learn more than that from her. Thank you so much.
Very true, Papia. And even I feel the same. When I look at my children, sometimes I feel the kind of resilience they have, there's so much to learn from them. For them, from the time they have been born, every second year, technology is becoming obsolete. The pressure on them is going up, and there are a lot of challenges. So sometimes the fact that they manage to smile and cope up so well and multitask is just about amazing. That brings me to you, Ankurita. Any stressful situation in life, or any incident that strikes out in your head where you feel that you managed it beautifully? We would love to know.
I think, as I said, stress is not about pressures. There are a lot of pressures any which ways. Pressures are inevitable, but the way we react to it is what amounts to stress. So it's basically in your head that stress builds on, and the way you carry your load, the way you react to it. So for me, I take a step back. Whenever I am in a stressful situation, I take a step back, and I'm perpetually in stress. Okay, let me also declare this. I'm perpetually in stress, and I'm out of stress. So basically, I'm kind of a split personality, and Pragati, probably you could help me in this. But talking about moments when I'm stressed, I have one husband, one son, 2 pets, and 2 study courses, and I have a pretty hectic office. So my Monday to Friday, 8 to 9 hours I devote to my office, and rest of the 8 hours I try and manage my sleep, and which I cannot because I'm hooked to Korean dramas and South Indian flicks. So I every day I promise to myself that today I am not going to watch anything. It's like bus one episode, and that whole episode leads to like the series of episode, and perpetually it leads me to an endless number of stress. And I am what Sindhu is not. She has a planned routine. I don't. I wake up every day and it's like 8 hours. I'm a very sincere worker. I have a routine for my work, but in my personal life, whatever I feel like doing, I do it. So whenever there is stress, I can't recall a particular moment when there is stress, but my strategy of handling stress is taking a step back. I just like in the previous answer, I said you'd have to acknowledge and accept and understand what triggers you. You have to label your stress, what triggers it, and basically you have to name it so that you can tame it. So whatever stresses me off, there have been occasions when I had a young son when I was working, and I used to have late evenings in office, and his daycare gets over at 7 o'clock. My office is in CP. I stay in Dwarka. Rushing from Dwarka, from CP to Dwarka at 6 o'clock and reaching dot at 7 is nearly impossible. So every day I come in a stress, and there have been occasions, as I told you before this conversation started, the one fine day I came from office, and I barely could manage to receive him at 7 o'clock. Otherwise, he would have been stranded on the streets, or probably his daycare people would have to wait for me unnecessarily. And at that point of time, I got a call from office that, this is something urgent. So I had 2 bags, my lunchbox, my bag, his bag, and his school bag, his daycare bag. And I was on the phone and I was calling somebody, hey, chalo, ghar chalo. And that kid was also coming along with me. And my son comes and he said, Mama, this is me. That you're dragging somebody else's kid. That's how stress affects you. But yeah, looking back now, I think every stressful situations, I think I have handled in a way by taking a step back and thinking that, tomorrow will be a new day, maybe sleeping it off, or just waiting for a new day, for a new time, for a new beginning. That's how I handle stress.
That was hilarious, Ankurita. Walking away with another child, that was like really, really funny. So Sindhu, tell me, what is it that you do for your emotional well-being on a daily basis?
So first thing, Pragati, I think it's quite important that our emotional stability is a very key thing when it comes to our performance or our productivity at work, or our productivity at home, or as mothers, or any kind of roles that we play. So, so emotional stability, of course, it's always, there are chances that we get derailed from our stable minds. We are not continuously mindful all the time. There are things that really impact us. I mean, it's easy to say that, we can probably build that resilience over time, and it's not really a plug and play. It comes through a lot of practice, right? So, so one thing is, of course, my workouts and my yoga and swimming are definitely things that definitely, contributes to a very large extent on physical, emotional, and mental well-being. Mm-hmm. Now, saying that, it's also a key thing that, you reach out to people for support. So I have my circle of mentors when it comes to, be it my relationships, be it my workplace, be it my career. So I have a very trusted circle of mentors who I reach out to. So the key thing is to reach out to support when you have to. So it's okay to seek for help. That's one of the key things. And the second thing is,
contrary to a very popular, notion that winners don't quit, I think that it's okay to quit sometimes, right? See, we have, a celebrated Olympian like Simone Biles who stepped back because of her mental health. Now, if a legendary athlete like her or a sports person like her could actually prioritize something else at the cost of medal for her country, I think that is something that we also have to learn to say no, or step back, take a step back, or quit when it's way too much, right? It could be, toxic relationship, it could be a bad job, or it could be, any kind of a bad situation that's really not good for you.
I totally agree, because a lot of times we look at taking a step back as failure, or, I'm not good enough. But we need to understand that even our mobile needs to be charged on a regular basis or it doesn't function. So why are we so hard on ourselves? That's something which each one of us needs to ask ourselves. Please go ahead.
And we as mothers especially are constantly under scrutiny, right? First of all, mothers come with a lot of labels and tags like working mother, stay-at-home mother, career mother, business mother, whatever. There are like 101 tags that we come along, and we feel that we are constantly under scrutiny. If there is a mistake that you do, you're always, it's the mother who takes the load of it. And sometimes even if there's no external person pointing it out, we as mothers are conditioned into thinking this way, right? I think that should go. We are mothers, right? We are humans, we are not gods. So that is something that people have to understand and stop beating ourselves. I am also, it's easy for me to talk about it, but there's a lot of practice that I need myself to get there.
So thank you for sharing that. Cynthia, coming to you, is there anything that's stressing you out at the moment, and how do you deal with it?
Right now, I still, while listening all those important views, I still have in my mind somewhere that what are the tasks in the to-do list. So it is like just a overload on the head or brain in mind, is that what all I need to finish. And I think that it is common for many of us.
Absolutely, absolutely. So before we sign off, any last words? I'm going to go around and I want all of you to tell me, Papia, one tip that you have for our viewers today, how to manage stress. You're on mute. I think everyone can unmute.
The only tip will be feel good about yourself and give yourself priority too.
Thank you. What about you, Priyanka? Any last words for our viewers?
I would just say, you're the most important person in your life. If you can keep yourself happy, you'll keep, rest of the people around you happy. So you are the most important person.
Sindhu, what about you? Any last words?
I would say, firstly, chill. There is nothing to be serious about, or, taking life too seriously. Relax, focus on your mental health, your physical health, and your emotional well-being.
Fantastic. Thank you. How about you, Cynthia?
I'd like to say that enjoy some me time. This is very important.
True.
Rediscovering the self and just be the better version of me in the next very day.
Fantastic. And Ankurita, how about you?
Well, in this movie, Godfather, Vito Corleone, he says that, before impressing the streets, take care of your own home. So here we are our own home, and we need to take care of ourselves first. And that's how we can, I think, probably take care of everything else, and everything else can wait, Like when you get on the flight, you said that they said that, put on your oxygen mask, and only then you can take care of somebody. So I believe that first priority is you. It's not selfish or it's not self-indulgent, self-care is a priority, and stress is inevitable in any which way. So to deal with stress, you need to be aware of your stress and aware of your own strengths and aware of your own weaknesses. I think just be yourself and enjoy. The rest, everything can wait.
Perfect. That's so well put. And Sarita had to log out because of an emergency. And thank you all you lovely ladies for taking time out on a Wednesday evening. My tip is, all stress can become eustress, which motivates you to do better rather than distress. So have a wonderful evening, everyone. And thank you for watching us. Thank you, panelists, for being here. Bye-bye.
Thanks, Pragati.
Thanks,
Take care.
Pragati.
Bye.
Thanks, everyone. Have a nice day.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks,
Good
everyone.
night.
Good night.
Good night.